In the sun-scorched plains of Mesopotamia, where the Euphrates snaked through dust and dreams, there lived a man named Abram. Not a name that would ring with the weight of kings or the echo of warriors. A wanderer, yes, but in a world of idols, not a man without faith, a spark of it in a land of shadows. Later they'd name him Abraham, father of many, burdened by the weight of prophecy. He wasn't a shepherd struggling with wolves or a merchant counting gold. He was a man of flocks, of staff and fleece, calloused hands and a restless heart, yearning for something beyond the horizon. This is his story, a story of doubt, obedience, and a covenant that forever altered the earth. Imagine Ur of the Chaldeans, a city of mud brick towers and bustling markets, thick with the smoke of pagan hearths. Abram lived here, a Terah's son, an eye of the happy family of men who bowed to gods of clay and stone. His father may have crafted idols, but Abram discerned the fog. Genesis 11 suggests his stealth discomforts. He didn't shout or strut. He stood firm, the kind of man who gazed at the stars and pondered. No thirst for the power, no hunger for the riches, just the life of tents and herds. But Ur back then wasn't for restless souls. Empires collided. Priests prayed to the night, and a voice, inaudible to most, rustled the air. Abram sensed it, although keeping his head low, his staff strong. Then came the day everything changed. It wasn't a deluge or a fighting force that disrupted Abram's life. It was a phone call. Genesis 12 makes it clear. God said, "Go from your country, your people, your father's household, to the land I will show you." No map, no explanation, simply a command that hit harder than any spear. Abram gazed up from his flock, his wife Sarai by his side, and heard a promise. "I will make you a great nation." "Why him, this nobody?" the townsfolk muttered. His fingers clutched his staff, not out of fear, but a pull he could not name. At 75, he broke his tents, left Ur, walked away into the unknown. And just like that, he became a man of faith. Abram was not a king with armies or a sage with scrolls. He was a nomad, branded by a God who had not been seen. Genesis names him blessed, but his journey was hard. He journeyed into Canaan, a land of strangers and dry hills, raising tents near oaks and altars. Once near Bethel, he tarried under a starry sky, and God told him, "Look up, count the stars if you can, so shall your offspring be." The camp slumbered. Abram watched, his heart racing. He wasn't one for big words, but his trust grew like a root in busted earth. Slow, tough, alive. God saw it, though. He always did. The years drifted by, a tapestry of journeys and challenges. Abram broke ground and parted ways with his nephew Lot, and took shepherds into battle to rescue him from warring kings. His doubt is recorded in Genesis 15. Sarai was barren. Their tent was silent. "What can you give me, Lord, if I have no heir?" he asked, voice soft. God told him, "Your own son will be your heir." Abram believed, and it was reckoned as righteousness, a gift he couldn't trade for. He waited, hoping, though the sun rose and set on empty promises. Then Hagar, Sarai's maid, a misstep wrought of urgency, and Ishmael, a son not of the vow. Abram's heart faltered, yet God didn't abandon him. The true test came later. Genesis 17. God appeared again, changing Abram's name to Abraham, father of many, and giving Sarai the name Sarah, princess. A blood covenant in the flesh, circumcision making them one. When God promised a son, Abraham laughed. "'Tis what Sarah did too at 99. "Can a child come to us now?" he said, his voice shaking. But Isaac showed up, a ball of exuberance, evidence of stardust. Abraham cradled him, hands trembling, not from age but from marvel. His resolute faith blazed up into a fierce light for the ages. But faith asked more. But Genesis 22 is the test that broke the silence. God said, "Take your son, your only son Isaac, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains of which I shall tell you." Just no reason, a word that sliced like a knife. Abraham rose early in the morning, saddled his donkey, took Isaac and 2 servants, and went. The boy said, "Where's the lamb?" Abraham felt a tightness in his chest. God will provide. On Moriah's slope, he made an altar, bound Isaac, raised the knife. His heart cried out, "Not my son, God, not now." But he listened, firm in the hands, until the angel shouted, "Stop! Now I know you fear God." A ram caught in brambles. Mercy, unasked for. A life saved. The remaining years were the wait and the peace. Abraham interred Sarah in a cave at Hebron, purchased with silver from strangers, a resting place for his love. He got Isaac a wife, had more sons by Keturah, created a clan. The Hebrew says he died at 175, full of years, buried next to Sarah by his sons. He didn't vanquish cities or etch laws in stone. He just believed. When the promise seemed dead, he pitched his tent, waiting on a land not yet his. His silence was louder than any cry, a root for nations. His shadow reached far beyond the grave. Genesis promised a people. From his line arose Israel, a nation born of stars. The bloodlines of kings and prophets could be traced to him, a legacy he never experienced. Hebrews 11 describes him as a hero of the faith, staring at the stars, believing the unseen. His progeny were not mere sons, but a multitude, innumerable as sand, infinite as sky. Empires collapsed, Babylon, Assyria, but Abraham's descendants prevailed, the fruit born of one man's yes. They entombed him at Hebron, a simple grave for a man of tents. Time sank his name into legend. Saint Abraham, father of faith, patron of pilgrims and promise. Altars raised, his story was told, from desert dunes to distant hills, and through them all, a common thread. The star-counting shepherd left a timeless signature. His life provided an answer to a question he did not articulate. Why him? Because men like him could have listened to the summons and heard the cost, but still can be willing to take a step forward, mile by dusty mile.